So what's the bias for today then? Let's have a little look. So on the daily time frame, it's nothing. Okay. Fucking hell. I don't want to see price by the second. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Daily, the 4-hour time frame is obviously going to be fucking bullish. Similar to London, isn't it? Pretty similar. Let's get this down. So the daily is neutral. I can sense it coming, so don't ask me how or why, or if you're confused with bias, don't even ask me how to do bias, because it's a 10-minute video on YouTube, okay? Very simple stuff. And you'd only get educated on the way that I do bias from the way that I do bias. No one else will teach you this way of bias unless they've copied me. Okay, this was handcrafted by your boy. Let's have a little look. So obviously a 15 got respected, and the 15's bullish. I'm sniffing a bullish bias here from the 5. Let's see. No, the 5's fucking let us down. Let's have a look. Could have a neutral bias here. So the 5 got fucking inversed, which is actually bearish towards this low. So we have a other point here of 5M minus sell side. Okay, so we know that's the draw. Same with ES as well, like that. Okay. So that's simple stuff. So 5M bearish. So we have a neutral bias. Okay. So what ICT traders, what are they doing right now? What are they doing? There's only one thing they're doing right now. Let's get it in the chat. Yeah, they're spinning in their chair. They're fucking spinning in their chairs again. Yeah, they're going to be taking shorts, and we don't care if price draws lower. It's not valid, okay? So the bias. Fucking wheelchair emojis, mate. Yes, obviously they see an inverse order block, a shift in structure, and they're just shitting themselves. They can't believe it. Let's take some shorts, you know. Obviously it's not valid, you know. The bias and the macro countless points, you know what I mean. So simple stuff. So intraday, staying on top of intraday, boom, boom, boom. That's what you got to do. So we can look at what are we trading into. So if we trade and take buy side, where does the 5 go bearish? You know? So it looks pretty fucking bearish at this point, doesn't it? So that's what I'm going to mark out. That's my closest point of interest for bias on bearish. So this is how you stay snappy with bias. Snap, 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 you know? That's what you do. So you got a nice, quick idea of bias on the 5. And where does it go bullish? Well, it goes neutral here. We already know that. This is how you are always on top of bias. And you can leave that there. Okay, that's it. You turn it off. And what you can do, now OCD, right? How do we fix that? Well, you can just turn them down. You don't need them that prominent on your chart, just like that. So you turn it down a little bit, make your chart a little bit cleaner. You know, just like that. So you can still see them, but it's there. go. Just like that. So the 5 right now is bullish because we inversed the bearish gap. See, so the bias is now bullish. It's ticking around like that. So if we look at the 15, it's obviously bullish. The 4 hours obviously bullish. Dead back could see that, and obviously the 5's bullish. We have a sweep of sell stops. You would look for a shift higher in structure. Okay. Bearish order block. Is the 5 bullish because of a yes? No, the 5's going to be bullish, right? No. No. No, the 5's fucking bearish one, so that's an incorrect statement. I was looking at the 1 minute for a second thinking this was the 5. No, so the 5 hasn't changed, no. Yes, it's the same. Okay. Milo, oh, this is such a common question, this one. So, Milo, if we get 1 loss, then we get into the next position with half size or normal size. Okay, right, so this is already in the group. This is such a standard. We do get standard questions, and this is one of them. This comes down to account management, okay? There you go, account management. See, Jex is like a sniper. Boom, he's already put it in there. He got it in the chat faster than I could even put hashtag. See that right there? He's not playing around. GG69 has returned. No. So what do we have a sweep of now? I mean, there's no point even putting it in the chat. It's obviously a sweep of buy side. So we swept buy stops. Is that a short-term low on NQ? No. So it can't shift below that low. It definitely, most likely, and definitely, absolutely cannot shift below that low, because it would take sell side. Okay, so we've got to handcraft a short-term low here. People are saying the 15's changed. So I'm not too bothered with the bias right now. So obviously, yeah, 15 is bearish. So's the 5, because we traded into what? The 5-minute bearish gap. Couple ticks off. Still bearish from the inverse anyway, so I don't really care. Maybe the gap's a couple ticks off, you see? So the gap is incorrectly marked. There you go. Let's get super precise. Like that. So now it's definitely traded into. Look at that. So we've got, you know, the hourly is obviously bearish. So's the 15 and the 5. Sweep at London eyes. Sweep buy stops. Look for shorts. So I'd say about 100 of you guys weren't here this morning to monitor London session. Where were you? Too rich? Too much money? Can't stand the smell of fucking money, can they? Mine said school, but mine's, I'm pretty sure you was here this morning. You wasn't playing around. Yeah, for those of you in the US, it's definitely understandable, I can't lie. US is cooked. But Jex can say everything, you know, Jex ain't playing around. He's in New York, it's fucking snowing, and he's up. Kevin was sleeping on his fucking chair. It was still there, you know? Yeah, he was spinning, yeah. Spinning in his chair. Yeah. How does Mines be on the stream whilst at school? He told his teacher to fuck off, mate. Yeah. That's what he did. Mines, don't be listening to your business teacher, mate, okay? You can tell him to fuck off as well. His fucking business plans. Fucking gross revenue, my ass, mate. He ain't got no revenue. The newbies just want signals. Yeah, I don't know what the idea behind, you know, signal this, signal that. At the end of the day, okay, as I told you guys, you're watching me do my job, and you're getting educated, and you're making fucking money at the same time. I mean, mate, if I had that opportunity, I have to drag this shit myself. No, they actually don't. They are gay. Yeah. You know, you see Jack right here. Jack's a veteran in the Discord. He's a veteran. Jack's got so much capital, most of you'd be sick. You know, that's how much he's got. And you don't get that in a week or overnight. He put in the work and you didn't. Countless others, you know. Sweep a buy side. You're looking for shorts. Simple. That's all it is. Little update of the bias. I mean, I'm not updating bias until we get a little bit of movement, okay? Bullish order block, shift below the low, fine. IV 941, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. So I see a lot of people saying, oh, but bro, you know, the price action's bad, bro. You know, we're not making money in 2026. Shut the fuck up. See how much fucking money I've made this month. Okay, price action's never bad. You know, we don't even need to discuss that. Okay, price action doesn't go bad. If London session didn't move by 30 points, okay, and then New York didn't move by 30 points, then I'd say, right, it's a little bit slow today. Okay, but then I'd still look at the previous day and see, you know, what happened on the previous day. Okay, so always looking at, there's always a reasoning behind everything. You don't just sit there and say, oh, bro, or do the fucking, what these gay people do. What's this Photoshop thing where they have their face over the chart on the real, I don't even know what the fuck they do. And then they have the chart in the background and say, bro, look at this chart. I commented on some guy yesterday, I just put idiot. You put a sad face emoji back. It's just gay. Yeah. There's no saving him. I mean, he's got social media and people are being influenced by this guy. Influenced. Thinking that he knows what he's talking about. Can't even read price. I also seen a fucking mum with kids running around in the background. And she was trading us stop while she was in a position 1 candle above current price on the 1 minute time frame. So I hit her with the stats. Oh my god, it's fucking... Someone's got a bomb Instagram, mate. Bomb him. Check Telegram VIP. I didn't even know that was a thing anymore. What's going on here? I haven't even been on Telegram in ages, mate. It's been a while. Fucking hell, if you really go back on Telegram, you can see when I was having 7k days. Wow. Just bringing back the memories. Imagine a fucking memory being a 7k day, mate. This is the OG group, this one. Just scrolling through this old chat. Obviously the Nasdaq's gone to the fucking moon, mate. Obviously looking for shorts. I'll update my bias at 10 AM. News might take previous day high. Either does it or it doesn't. Okay, not too fast. Look for shorts regardless. Bullish short order block Nasdaq, short term low. Bit of bias in about a minute's time. Alright. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. People still text me on Telegram to this day. I don't do this Telegram shit. No way, so there was this blonde bitch, right? When I was working back in the days, and I was a lifeguard, there was this blonde bitch that I was working with. So I was rizzing this bitch up, and she texted me saying that someone tried to impersonate me and ask her how her trading's doing. So this guy who's impersonating me has tried hit up every single... How's he done this? Like, this guy's mad. But I never text you guys, okay? You know, whilst you guys are here anyway, I ain't gonna text you on Discord. If you're currently chatting, if you think me, I ain't chatting, brother. Okay, I don't have time. I don't sit around on my phone replying to Discord messages, Telegram, fucking Instagram, WhatsApp, this shit, you know? Barely even speak to my parents. As I say, I don't reply to my fucking self. So, yeah, don't be a fool, okay? Don't be a fool. As we said this morning in the London session, one of the number one things said in the Bible is don't be a fool. So don't be a fucking fool, mate. I should just hit 10 AM. Let's see if this fucking deposit lands. I mean, Trader 8's sick. deposit always comes on time. Alright, so guys, let's do some education here. Let's do some education. Thought I'd tell you guys this. Whilst I was getting a haircut, I thought I'd tell you guys how do I manage my live accounts. So how does it work? Okay. So what do I suggest? So you guys already know about 4% risk. You already know that. So this is something else. Otherwise I wouldn't say it because we've already spoken about it before. So basically, the way that you should run at certain level of capital live. Okay, so when you're running a live account and it surpasses 100k USD, which is very fucking easy, you should do that within half a year. Okay, so 100k USD, once it surpasses that, that's your 4% risk account, right? And you leave it at 4% risk, and it's from 100, and let it continue. And then you start, once you hit 100 at 4% risk, you continue that account at 4% risk, but you start a new live account with a separate broker. So what I personally recommend is Tradeovate as the 4% risk and Interactive Brokers as your second live account. What's the second live account for? And I've been doing this for a while, but I haven't spoke to you guys about it. What do you run the second live account? You run it as a lower risk. Now I recommend 2% or 1.5. So you run it around 1.5, 2% risk, and this is going to be the big part of your balance, okay? So initially, when your Tradeovate Live hits 100, and you're risking 4%, you're then going to start adding prop firm payouts into your new Interactive Brokers live account. And obviously it's going to be less than 100k, so you're going to slowly build it up. And what you're actually going to be doing is building that balance up to where Tradeovate, the 4% risk account, is 30% of the size of your main account risking 2%. Does that make sense? So you have an off-risk account which is funded and profits are shedded off the high risk, or not high risk, the 4% risk account. So the 4% risk account is going to grow faster, obviously, than the 2% risk. Okay? So that's how, as you work into, you know, a 300k account with Interactive Brokers and a 100k account with Tradeovate, both live, you know, you put your own fucking cash in there, not prop firms, right? So you're running your prop firms on the side. It's going to be 30% less. So it'll be 30%, there or thereabouts, right? As that account grows faster, in periods when price scales in favour, you're going to shed it off slightly. But you're always going to keep it 30%. So both sides are going to grow. It's going to go from 100 to 150. Your other account will grow from 300 to 400, okay? And it's going to grow. But that's how you would manage your portfolio, if that makes sense, okay? Why less risk on the second live? So as you go into a higher standpoint of, you know, capital live, then you want to slightly reduce the risk, just slightly, nothing crazy. No, it's not to hedge. It's nothing to do with anything. We don't, you know, we don't hedge. We don't even know what that is. What is that? You know, what's this guy talking about? Now I'm for YouTube, brother. It's for protecting capital. So in the future there could come a point, right, that you're trading your account, it's $1 million balance, you're risking 4%, and you have 11 losing trades or 12 losing trades. That is a probable scenario. 20 winning trades is a probable scenario as well. Okay, everything's probable. So you go for capital protection. Now, from $1 million balance risking 4% to lose 12 trades, that's going to be 48% down, which is fine. It's recoverable. 6 wins, couple months to recover. It's fine. Okay, but that's also only 24% down on a $1 million live account. Okay, and your other account's down 48%. So your main portfolio is protected for all scenarios, and your aggressive portfolio, you could run it as 50-50. Or you could run it as a 30%. Does that make sense? 30% of main account balance. Why is Interactive Brokers the main? Because they have the most liquid assets. They're one of the #1 brokers in the space. And no, you can't run it under Trade Syncer. You can't, no. But you can get an advisor account with a certain contract that you get written up by a lawyer. Well, we're not going to get into that. There's no point. You still won't be able to link with Tradeovate, but there is different softwares that you can use. It's easy. Yes, you can run your live Tradeovate with Trade Syncer, yes. You certainly can, yeah. What about NinjaTrader? Never used it. Always never liked NinjaTrader. Thought it looked shit. I've always used Tradeovate. I accidentally used, what do you call it? I accidentally used, a couple years ago, NinjaTrader, when I was purchasing Apex accounts a couple years ago. I accidentally purchased Rhythmic instead of Tradeovate, and that's when I must have loaded it up and seen how shit it was. Yeah. Can you trade it on TradingView? Yeah, you can. Interactive Brokers, you can, yeah. You can connect it to TradingView, you certainly can, yeah. You can also trade options. LOC4, how's it going, brother? So what I'm going to do is after 10 AM, it's very probable here that we do see a shift in market structure. So let's look at the bias. Let's have a little look. So the 5's bullish. Now the bias is likely leaning towards bearish, but there's only one way to find out. Okay. So looking at the 15, we was bullish. We took the high, and it's neutral. And that's it. It is neutral. Obviously the hourly is bearish. And the 4 hour is bullish. Okay. That's what it is. So our bias is bullish. That's it. 15 is bearish, they say. Yeah, that is correct. Tradeovate notification. Yeah. Must be the fucking deposit. So how can the 5 turn bearish? It's very difficult. It well, actually generally can't to form a bias. 4 hours neutral, that would be incorrect. 4 hours bullish, it's going to be bullish for a little while. So the bias is neutral. Okay, even if price shifts lower, IST traders, they're going to spin, but it wouldn't be valid. Okay. So you can delete this previous for price. You can change that like that. Okay, that's it. Nothing else. That's all you got to do. Right, let's have a look at this Tradeovate notification. Yeah. So the deposit has fucking landed. Your deposit request has been approved and your account balance adjusted accordingly. Alright, thank you, mate. You were not in 15M, Milo. I was on the 154. Yeah. Yeah, I accidentally typed 154 instead, yeah. So as you know, IST traders are actually spinning right now. They are. They can't believe it. So the 4 hours obviously bullish, as we know. If you just want to work through the bias, you know, it's very simple. Obviously the hourly's bearish, that's pretty simple, isn't it? And then we got the 15 as being bearish, that's it. And the 5's bullish. Okay. Now the 5 could only go to being bearish if we inverse in 3 minutes. So yeah, if we form a model and then inverse the 5 and then lean towards a bearish bias, I would lean into the position. But what I can see here for price, what is that? What is that? And what does that seek for price? There's two things happening right now. Let's see education. Let's see. Okay, buy stops, yes. Yeah, buy stops. Failed shift, yes. And it's trading into what? What is it trading into? It's trading into not buy side, not sell side, not order block, not shift. Fair value gap, yeah. It's trading into intraday imbalances, right? Intraday is just the 5. Okay, so it's a failed shift trading into intraday. Happens a lot. So it's likely going to seek buy stops. Okay. Simple stuff. So by taking buy stops would put us at the end of the macro. That's it. Yep. So obviously we got the second, we got the lunch macro, we got the PM. Milo, I have 100k account with Topstep and my balance is at 1,400. Should I wait until it reaches pass buffer 2.5 to take a payout? Very good question. Now a lot of people do obviously talk about this. I always recommend in all scenarios for a payout is 3,000. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you've got, you know, let's say, well, it does depend what account, but everyone's trading a 50k account. And look, NASDAQ just trades for buy stops. So that's just understanding probabilities, okay? Now, with your account on a 50k, everyone should take a payout in the scaling process. So if you don't have 38 accounts, everyone should be taking payouts at a 3k balance. Everyone. Okay, and you take that 1k off and go back to 2k, and you do that as many times as you need until you have everything, and you fund the whole process like that. Okay, so let's say you're running 15 accounts and you want to get to 38. You just want to get the rest, or you want to get more. You want to get some TraderFi's. You want to run some on CPI. You want to run some on a 2-day pass, right? You're going to take 15 1k payouts. That's 15k. That will fund the whole fucking process. It will leave you some left over. What do you do if that's left over? You can start a mini live account at 5k USD. Okay, risking 4%. That's what you do, and you make your own risk management sheet, okay, risking 4% of your live, and you write it on a whiteboard, and you update it as the balance grows, okay, and you stick that whiteboard to the fucking wall in front of, you know, behind your screen. Many people have done that, you know, it's great. I like the whiteboard process. I think it's very, especially when you got, you know, ADHD, it's very difficult to obtain a thought and keep it in your head. Now, not a lot of people have ADHD, and you know, I'd say pretty much everyone's got it, but I find it best that I write things on a whiteboard, because thoughts go through my head and fucking out. So when I write it down and I say, this is what I'm doing today, I do it, boom. I pass 5 more accounts today, okay? I'm looking at 11 more accounts with Blue Nox, okay? I'm looking at 5 accounts of Lucid, and I've seen that Lucid's running a 60% consistency, so you already know what that's getting me leaning towards. Okay. But guys, don't focus too much on Apex. Get the ones that you need. You need My Funded Futures, you need Take Profit, you need Alpha Futures, you need Top Step. Without those accounts, don't be looking at Apex. Then look at Apex. Then look at Lucid. Then look at TraderFi. Then look at Blue Nox. Lucid is 1-day pass. That's great. I will be looking at that. I have heard that as well. Obviously, they do have different plans, so I'm just looking at the different plans. For the 1-day pass, I will run them all on CPI. Yeah, so I'll run Lucid and Blue Nox, so that'll be 16 accounts-ish. I'll run them on CPI. I won't run them on NFP. I'm going to run them only on CPI. If they don't hit on CPI, I'll plan a second approach. Yes. Yes, Dre. Yes. Any news on Camilla payout from Apex? I'm curious on that. I'd like to help her if she, you know, had any issues. Haven't heard too much. It would be good to hear an update. There's no way they would still be processing it now. I mean, we're talking, that's a period of time. Even DJ's running the purple LEDs, mate. What do you know about the purple LEDs, brother? I don't even know why I like purple, mate. I just fucking like purple. It's weird. That's obviously, you know, we're far gone out of the first day of macro. We're going to be waiting for the 2nd AM. And then approaching the lunch, approaching the PM, etc. This is what we do every day. So we monitor price to perfection. When we're in a position, what do you do? What's your... Let's get it in the chat. What do you do when you're in a position? What's your only job? Okay, we're just looking at recalls here. Manage risk. Yeah. It's your only job. Okay, when you enter a position, there's always people having thoughts. What if this? What? Who gives a fuck? What if? If you're thinking what if, you shouldn't even be trading live. You should be backtesting and backtesting and backtesting and backtesting until you don't have a fucking hairline. Okay, so, and if you are also confused, yeah, throw the cat off the balcony, you know, and you need to look at the pre-recorded videos, 15 hours of content. Okay, so you need to be going through that. You need to be backtesting. You need to look at your forward tested trades. You need to be writing this down in Excel sheets. Okay, building a picture of who you are. Okay. Milo, thanks for welcoming me into the community. Since I started following you, I have seen my trading change. Even though I have studied ICT several times, I couldn't move forward. I had great difficulty. I've got great difficulty reading. My apologies. Establishing my bias and therefore failed all prop evaluations. Since I met you and studied your free lessons, I have passed 450k tests and am slowly advancing towards receiving my first funded payout. Thank you. Good stuff, brother. That's very good to hear. I mean, that is actually the only reason why I started the YouTube channel. When I started seeing other people getting fucking results, I was like, well, this is kind of crazy. And I am a very big believer in whatever I put out, it cycles round. You know, energy can't be, you know, destroyed of what I put out. Strong believer. Big lesson from Tony Robbins' mentor. So I don't actually listen to this guy called Tony Robbins, but his mentor who taught Tony Robbins was actually a pretty inspirational person. I think he died, but he said that if you change people's lives, they're forever going to be a testimonial of your success, which brings you future clients and business in the future. Okay. So the value that you guys are getting from joining the group is exponential. What the fuck am I getting? Nothing. But, as I said, that's what I believe. And you guys are, you have the opportunity, you know, so it's great. And the reason why I believe that is because previously, let's say 5 years ago, I wasn't really so great. I wouldn't call myself a great person, really, 5 years ago. And bad things kept happening to me. I was like, I'm always getting fucked. Not getting fucked. I'm saying in life, things weren't going smoothly for me, ever. There's always things, I'd make a bit of progress, and then it would go south, make a bit of progress, go south, and then I wouldn't make any progress, I'd just go south. You know, so there was always, and I was always wondering why. Okay. Until I changed my outlook on life. And as I put on my Instagram story of that quote, God doesn't look at you, he looks at your heart. So when my heart changed, that's when my fucking life changed. Many of you won't understand that. It took me a long time to fucking understand that. A lot of the time you're going to sit there and think, but now's my time. I've been trying so hard. This, that and the other. Okay. I'll speak to you guys for the second day of macro. I'll unmute my mic in about 15 minutes, okay? Right, what's going on, mate? Because I see people, you know, saying shit in the chat. And, what's this? Do you have advice for people who work 60 hours a week and want to quit their job? Well, how many hours did I used to fucking work? Let's see. Because I used to work more than that. That's fucking rookie numbers, mate. I used to do 12 times 6. Yeah, I used to do 72 hours a week, mate. And I used to work security, so I was knocking people out. 72 hours a week, and I used to do that 6 days a week. Sunday off. Sometimes I was called in for fucking Sunday, but that was illegal work in the UK. And then, what else? I used to trade from the New York Open to the end of lunch and sleep between the periods. So it was 24 hours a day. I didn't ever stop. Milo, did you block me, Erican? Brother, that's not English. What does that even mean? Erican. What the fuck is Erican? Okay. From the UK, we don't speak Erican language. I I'm planning on leaving Uber driver work this year. Okay. I mean, look, let me tell you guys this. I continued working my job as security until I got my second payout of $10,000. Milo, did you block me, Erican? What? What are you talking about, brother? Who the fuck is Erican? Oh my god. Unpar 55. What? So what's he been saying? This is the new GG. Erican is screen. What do you mean my screen's here? You guys can see my screen, you guys can hear my voice. What's Unpar 55 been saying anyway? For trade, I make recovery loss. The fuck? What do you mean 4 trades? I just want 1 to 2 trades a day and finish work. What? Four trades. Oh my god. My old hours when I was learning how to trade, 70.4 hours. See, that's the cushion right there. My brain is getting cooked. I do, you know, matter of fact, how much I don't like and despise the UK English people. I tell you what, it's good to have a good fucking conversation with them sometimes. For people that speak English. Or even a human, you know what I mean? The people born on this planet sometimes. Oh, just educate yourself. It's like asking me if a Snicker bar has fucking nuts in it. Let me drink some fucking water, mate. I'll tell you what, you guys know how to get my cortisol up, I'll tell you that. Well, not you guys, one of you guys. Let me get some chocolate milk, mate. That's how I bring my cortisol back down. Chocolate milk. Let's get it in. Like people, oh my god, I don't even know what to say. How do some people say, I want 1 to 2 trades? Who gives a fuck what you want, brother? Okay? You know, this is my job, my business, my income. Okay? You're watching me live. I don't just provide for you. Oh yeah, sure, brother. Here's 8 fucking trades. Now wait, I'm profitable. Okay? Shit. Send him to Dagestan 2-3 years. Yeah, and forget, mate. Yeah. It's all good. He's learning, you know. He's learning. I don't know how long it's going to take to learn. Take it slow. Umpard, he just needs education. Just take it slow, brother. Take it slow. It's all good. But sometimes the questions that you're asking are extremely... This Discord, I would say, is, you know, is for people that are looking to grow, but not people who have only just downloaded TradingView. Yeah, so, you know, I swear in pretty much every single sentence, okay? Now, Rob said this Discord needs an IQ requirement. Now, I'm not saying that we have an IQ of Einstein, okay? I know myself that I'm smart enough to pull significant money out of the market. In other aspects of life, I 100% know there's people in other aspects who know more than I do. That's how life goes. You're never going to know every single industry, otherwise you'll never be the best at what you do. Now, when it comes to trading ICT and futures, for I know I'm the best. because I always aim to improve. Now, is there people better? Of course there fucking is. Of course there is. But I'm currently the best of my capability. And I'm always, year by year, as you guys have seen, refined, refined, refined. Maybe we should make a separate channel for 55 and just post, you know, 15 trades a day in there. What do you guys think? I'll put it on a fidget spinner. I'll put short on one part of the fidget spinner, and I'll put long on the other part. I'll spin it. I'm joking. But that's the questions that people be asking. They leave me to dumb answers like that. Yeah, scene mate. You got to chill out, brother, because he's understanding. He can rage bait me now. He's understanding it now. I can only, because look, let me tell you guys one thing. Okay, 2025 in March, I closed the Discord from trading live for one specific reason, and it was for mental clarity. Now I do my job and I do my business and I make money, and you watch me do my job at the end of the day, and I need peace and I need informative questions that are thought through. If you're going to ask a question in the chat, please make sure you've actually thought about the question and don't ask something stupid, okay? If you're going to translate it into English, ask something that is going to either benefit others or it's generally something that you couldn't find on YouTube, okay? Do not ask me questions that are literally very self-explanatory, okay? Because I want this not only to benefit others, but I don't want other people to also lose their mind as well as I do. So essentially what some of you guys are doing, you're asking a professional boxer who's thrown thousands of right hooks how to throw a right hook. Everyone knows how to throw a fucking right hook. But if you're looking for perfection and improvements and you're getting into the critics, okay, which can benefit others, alright, cool. Right, there's a difference. There's a difference, okay? So you use the Discord, remember, you use this Discord chat and you're able to speak with myself and I'm able to answer your guys' questions. For simple questions, we do have a questions chat in the Discord and a lot of people are more than willing to answer and they are very helpful. You know, we have experiences inside of this group which are from here down to here and people will be willing to answer that. Questions that you've really, you're like, oh, you know, and then you're going to answer. You can't find it in the Discord. You've been looking on YouTube. Don't quite. You want me to show you. Cool, that's fine. And bear in mind as well, on Saturday, Sunday each week, we do a weekly recap of the trades we've taken. We do that live with you guys, you know, so there is time for that as well. Your page randomly popped on my YouTube from the profits I made last week. Curious what you're looking for right now. What are you waiting on to get into the trade? And how many trades do you typically make a day? So each day, I mean, I don't really know how many trades I take a day, to be honest. Sometimes it would be 2, sometimes it's 1, sometimes we don't take a trade for 5 days. It either presents or it doesn't. The fucking cat, mate. Oh, bruv. Oh, that's me sometimes, mate. Like the fucking cat. Someone posed a question in the chat. My fucking head like that. I'll throw that cat off, mate. Okay, I got a question. Let's say I'm looking for a long, but on the higher time frame, I have sell side order block and fair value gap. Let's say that I also have buy side fair value gap and order block. What should someone do from that? Oh my god. I gotta read that again. I got. Let's say that I'm looking. Nah, wait. I sorry, Baba. I can't do it. I can't do it. I've got to chill out. I need a cigarette or something. I actually quit smoking. I don't know if that's taking a toll on my mental health. I've quit. I haven't smoked in like 5 days. I don't know if it's getting to me, but we swept current weekly high. We're coming up to the macro. It's very probable we do see a shift lower in structure. Okay. Let's have a look at the bias. So the daily is almost going towards being bearish. It's very, very close. Okay. It's very close. For other questions, please keep it for Saturday. And, you know, you can always put your questions in the chat, by all means. It's very good. I just didn't really understand that question. It didn't actually make logical ICT sense of what you just said. You started talking about buy-side fair value gap. That's not a real thing. So that's not even a thing. So that's what kind of like, you know, that was almost the cherry on the top there. So let's have a look at the bias here. So the hourly is going to be bearish. And the 4 hour is going to be bearish. So we are forming a very nice bearish bias. Very probable to see shorts here, 100%. And almost trading out of that new week opening gap. Let's have a look at the 15. So the 15 is already bearish. Okay. It's already bearish. There you go. Let's have a look at the 5. Yeah, because I smoked a lot of cigars and shisha, and I've tried to cut back on it recently. So I'm making my efforts. Okay. So now the 5's bearish as well. You see that? How nice that is for a bias. Very strong bearish bias there. Okay, bullish order block. We can definitely look for a clean shift lower in structure. Bearish SMT higher time frame on ES. There's sell side at all of these points here for price. So now you wait. And we're on step number 3. That's all it is. So does price shift structure? Yes or no? That's it. Unpars text me on the Whoop app. Hello, my can not see why. What? One sec, guys. One sec. Can someone at him in the chat, please? I need someone to at him in the chat. Can someone at him, please? Thank you. For you guys that know, you already know. Right, that's it, guys. So Unpar 55's been banned. Fuck that guy. And I've just refunded his money. That's a W in the chat. Oh, what a relief. Wow. Oh, I'm so happy. Look at that. Sigma emojis. Alright, let me message him. I'll say, unfortunately, brother, you don't meet the requirements for the group. Hi, brother. Okay, I'm just going to get... Oh my god, I've never seen so many W's in my life. Right, I'm going to get ChatGPT to form a message. Hi, ChatGPT. So there's this guy called, don't worry about his name, just put him as a customer. Had to ban him from the group. Just want you to make him a little private message, say that he didn't meet the knowledge requirements for the group, and what he was saying didn't make dictionarical, the dictionary sense. So I have banned him from the group. He's been removed, and I've refunded him, and he's going to have to search elsewhere to improve. Okay, because he's not worth my mental clarity. Just put that in simple terms and make it nice, and so I can send this to him. Short and simple, not too long. That's great. He disturbed me in London session. Cortisol definitely spiked in London and the New York, and it's just, see you later. He said, please, money back. I've already refunded you, mate, so it's... Alright, ChatGPT hit him with the take care. Okay. Send that to him as well. You have been refunded, brother. Please take good care. Nothing personal. Just not on the right level yet. Okay. Alright, he's gone. Lovely stuff. That's great. So my number one priority inside of this group is to ensure that everyone is improving. That's what we always do. That's why we have pre-recorded content. And this is why we live stream. This is why I answer a lot of questions. And I do educate you guys as much as I mentally can. But sometimes it does go a bit overboard, which does kind of... Umpar said, but you can teach, no? Yeah, but I can't teach a baby how to fucking walk. We're already running, mate. So... It's, it's one of those ones. So everyone can run. We're teaching you how to run faster and longer. He can't even fucking walk. So that's what it is. Now, not everyone is of the mental capability to trade. How many people has Milo banned? I think we've banned... We don't ban people all the time. But I think it's free. We've banned 3 people. And everyone can agree. This comes to a whole group conclusion. When I see it's disturbing other members in the group and their learning process and my mental clarity. Now, I'm very... What's the word? Oh, what's the word? I allow it as long as it can go on for. I don't know the word for that. I allow it as long as it can. And then it does come to a point when they don't even know their own stupidity, and that's when they can't be saved. And I make the decision. Forgiving. Lenient. Yeah, I'm very lenient. And if it comes to a point I see, okay, he can't be saved as of now, there you go, that's when it happens. We've had a few people like that. Okay, I don't know where they come from, but that's what happens sometimes. shit getting me dizzy? I am not surprised you're dizzy, brother, because that sleep is a bit all over the place. Serious discipline there. Very good. So Hassan said he's been in a losing streak. So what type of model was you trading before? What type of model, Hassan? So the Nasdaq's putting a nice short-term low there. As far as bias, we already know it's bearish. Very confident on that. Now, where is price likely to draw during lunch? It's going to be sell stops. So this is the likely scenario as of this point. Now, we're not close enough to lunch to say this, because a lot can happen in an hour. But as of this point, this is what usually happens in lunch. We'd see a run on sell stops, and then in the PM session, we take lunch lows, and then price continues. Time and time again, that is a probable situational analysis scenario. Is based off probability, okay? So little things like that, it's good to know. Keep them in your subconscious. I know. When we link up, it is going to be great. And I will tell you guys, because I know where you guys are at. I know where the majority of you guys are at. You know, there is a majority that have been obviously paid out. There's a majority that haven't been paid out. And there's a majority that's starting off. When I see the point in this group that the majority are now, you know, 50, 100k plus, then I will put it as the time is right. Okay, let's do a meetup. But I'm not going to be where I tell you guys that we're going to essentially do a meetup, or I'm going to hire a massive yacht, and then you guys are not ready, or you can't afford to fly to certain places, right? Okay, so we will do it when the time's right. No, I won't charge you for the fucking boat or anything, whatever we do, you know. So obviously you'll have to get your flight there or whatnot, but yeah. So Melvin's got a payout from Top Step. Lovely. 1,300. As we said in London, John C took his first payout after trading for 2 years as well. So there's payouts getting credited all over the place. Yeah. So price shifting structure here is going to be a model for shorts. Okay, the 5 is ticking bullish. Now look at the 5. What is the 5? Well, we can examine this from the left. So from the point of 46525, okay, so the 46525, which is there, the 5 is no longer bearish, so it's bullish below, which doesn't really matter because the overall bias is bearish, as we know from the 15, the hourly, and the 4 hour as well, and potentially the daily, which the daily is also bearish. That is a very, very strong bearish bias now. So it doesn't matter what the 5 does. When the full top 3 sit as one direction, that is a very strong bias. What is this? That's a failed shift in structure and a trade in to intraday 5-minute bullish unfilled imbalance. So as you've seen countless times, that is the first failed shift. buy stops. Okay, we can look for a second shift below the low. So does price shift below this bullish order block, or does it trade to the high? Okay. So you always assume PDRAs are respected until it shows you otherwise. Obviously we are looking for it to be inversed and shift lower. Shift on the Nasdaq, shift on ES. So where's IV going to be? Invalidation low, where's it going to be? It's going to be this low, isn't it? First, second and third IV. It's not a 5-minute swing, it's the third swing on the 1-minute time frame. Okay, so yeah, price can shift aggressively, but not aggressively enough to then trade back to sell stops. Okay. Yeah, so more times than not, it's always going to be the third swing, or a 5-minute swing high or low. It's definitely in the probable range that we accumulate as of now. That's definitely a thing that I am considering as of now, because of the aggressive move in price. So that's always one thing that should flicker in your subconscious. And then inside of lunch, we can look for step 1, 2, and 3. Power 3. Price to accumulate, lunch to manipulate, and then distribute. But regardless, if we immediately shift structure now, that's fine. And I would look for shorts, and I'll be open for shorts. Okay. So yeah, ES is already starting to shift below the short-term low. That's fine. There is a gap on ES. NQ, no. Okay, so that's a shift on ES, but no shift on NQ. Still ongoing. It's an ongoing process there. Yeah, I've not been a big fan of the anchor bias. I think I've used it in the past a couple times. Actually, no, I am a fan of that. I think I did... What else did I do? I think I locked it. I locked it. That's what I did. I think I must have... Yeah. No, I locked it and it didn't work. Oh, that's actually pretty cool, yeah. That's good for that. Thanks for the tip, brother. There's a lot of things you can do on TradingView, but I'm not, you know, like an IT technician. A lot of people know all these different things. I don't personally use it. I mean, I still get my everything from here. I don't like that drop-down box thing that people keep hovering here. Personally don't like it. This is fine. It's a very sufficient sweep of buy side, so we can definitely see a shift in structure. B plus if we have a shift. So as far as identifying if a trade is B plus or not, you are correct in thinking it would be B plus. It would be B plus short. Now, the idea behind whether it's B plus or A plus, it doesn't make a difference to whether you're gonna take the trade or not, and also doesn't affect position size at all. So just make sure when you're, you know, monitoring price, not to consider things that you don't need to look at. And the two things you don't need to consider if a trade's B plus or A plus, don't need to consider that, or even have it as a thought. And the other thing that you don't need to consider is whether it's a mitigation or a breaker block paired with a gap. Okay, so those two things, you just need to know if a inverse order block's paired with a gap. Doesn't matter if it took the high or the low after inversing the order block. Okay. I've monitored price so much, my subconscious already tells me what it is. But in the early stages, right, things, when you're monitoring price, is going to be coming at you slightly faster. So when price does shift below this short-term low, your mind's going to start becoming like a race. You're going to start thinking position size, is this valid? Gap here, looking at this, that, other accounts, and you start to panic. For me, everything slows down when price starts to shift. It becomes in slow-mo. I see things extremely slow. Hence why you guys say you like my discipline or you like my patience. It's just years of experience and torture, especially in the early stages. I was doing it to myself. And it's only from experience that you become this relaxed. That's all it is. When you do the process so many times and you've put the reps in, it doesn't faze you. In this case though, if price starts to shift here, that would be considered a mitigation. Yes, on NQ it would be a mitigation. So bullish order block, it didn't take a high, and then it's inversing on this candle closure below the bullish order block. It would be a mitigation, that's correct. So as far as ES, right, because on the Nasdaq that's all one shift, which is fine. So we need to form a gap. What's that gap going to be paired with on the Nasdaq? It's not going to be paired with anything. So on ES, what I'm looking at here is a bullish order block that got inversed, which is paired with a gap on ES. Okay, so from this here, that's a failed shift in structure. So it's just trading into intraday imbalances, the 5, the unfilled 5. Okay, so it's seeking buy stops. That's what it's doing. So price is telling us now that it's a failed shift, it's trading intraday, it's likely going to seek buy stops, and it's likely going to accumulate from this point. And then in lunch, we can then look for the model. Elite Shata said, why YouTube when I can learn from him? Yep, no, you're definitely learning, 100%. But there's also, you know, a difference between putting in work on the sidelines and being, you know, lazy and not putting in all of the work. It's definitely a balance which you need to obtain to be the best. And we are monitoring price live, so this isn't the scenario for me to work people through the whole 2022 mentorship and all of the knowledge I've obtained over the past 5 years. So I do like answering questions to an extent. So we've traded up, we've taken buy stops at the short-term high, which you can see here. So anyone anticipating a short, okay, off a bearish order block, etc., buy stops. Second shift, second, third low. IV still stands as the invalidation low. ES, take a little look. You see how ES is trading lower, and it's trading lower without buy stops. So NQ's done the work for buy stops, cool. ES would then have to perform a second shift with this low to form some sort of model in the second AM, okay? So as far as what Ryan has said with the bias on the 15, that would only be something we would look at if higher time frame changed. It makes your life really easy with bias when the higher time frame sits as one direction. Intraday, it doesn't be a thing we look at. So the hourly's bearish, the 4 hours bearish, and the daily is bearish. It's a bit frustrating when people feel entitled to information you personally slave to acquire. Yeah, exactly. And I not only have I put in so much work to acquire the information, because I'm no better than you guys, right? But I forgot what I was gonna say. We tapped the new week opening gap. Yeah, that probably happened about half an hour ago. Milo, read the message up. Sayo Raz. Why, what does that mean? I don't know if you're trying to trick me or something. I don't know what that is. So far on NQ, there's no gap formed around this area. There's a gap on ES, which is fine. There is an inverse, well, there's an order block that's being respected as bullish as of now on ES. So it'd have to close below, that would perform a shift. Then the gap on NQ. Okay, so as of now, it's extremely probable that price is seeking buy stops. Now, another scenario is that people would look at price and say, we've failed a shift twice, which is true. So this second shift that failed, we then seeked buy stops. So we did take a short-term high, hence why I'm looking for a third shift, which would be the first shift after buy stops. This is not a scenario that price is achieving as of now. So that's why it's so probable for buy stops. Just intraday imbalances that we're trading out of. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. Milo, why calculate the contracts for position in your head? I don't know. What do you mean? It's literally there. I have it on I use the Discord. So the same sheet that you have is there. Yeah, as I say, you know, well, there goes the Nasdaq sweep and buy stops. So that's just situational analysis, understanding probabilities and price action. That's how I say it's drawing buy stops. That's the idea behind a failed shift, etc. So you understand these probabilities, etc. Okay. Oh my god. There's no fucking way. Hermit Crab failed 38R. Right, I'm gonna go relapse on cigarettes. I'm fucking stressed from these questions. I'm gonna go buy a cigar. I need to de-stress. I'll speak to you guys for the lunch macro. For those of you that are already experienced or you have enough experience, it's actually insane. But I'm gonna have to go smoke a fucking cigarette because that one. Two last questions. One about risk management, and one about the crab. Oh my god. It's the end of the macro on the second. I'll speak to you guys for the lunch. Okay. Okay. It was great speaking to you guys. I'll speak to you guys in 30 minutes. Okay. Just before I head off, I was just gonna get on the bike. But I seen someone. Matt said, "Is it possible to restrict a Discord live stream to certain people?" I wouldn't make that happen. I believe everyone's got their own shot and opportunity. And there's a lot of people here that are willing to learn, and there's a lot of people that you're gonna find people sometimes that are just not on the same wavelength, and you can always do your best to try and help people, but some people can't be helped, not in a rude way, and it's never personal against certain people. So it's all good. So everyone will always be able to text inside of this group, but obviously there's a line with everything. Okay. If you go to a boxing class and mock the coach enough, he will knock you out. So that's the idea behind everything in life. So I will speak to you guys in about 15 minutes for the lunch macro. Okay. So I'll speak to you guys in a sec. Alright, yes guys. I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome back for the lunch macro. So hopefully you guys can hear me. Let's take a little look at our bias. We have a sweep of sell side. So the daily's bearish. And the 4 hours bearish. You can see the hourly still bearish, so the higher time frame does sit as bearish. The 15 is bullish, and the 5 is bullish. So we have intraday bullish, but higher time frame bearish. So how does the bias shift to being bullish? It would be from the hourly time frame, which is at 295. So if we look at 295, that's my point of interest of sell side. That's where we get a bullish bias. So what is that hourly time frame? It's an unfilled hourly gap, which ES is actually trading very close to. So this here, the hourly candle previous low, is going to be where we get a bullish bias from unfilled imbalances on NQ. Okay, so then we could potentially have an opportunity for longs. So as we approach the New York lunch, we're seeing a run on sell stops. Okay. Yeah, guys, apologies about the second day of macro. I got slightly stressed. I don't really know what caused it. I do apologise. So we would look for ES to take sell side. or NQ to take minor sell side, we would form a bullish bias from that point, and then we can look for a opportunity for longs. Okay, so you can see the hourly's now shifted bullish on ES, trading out of the unfilled hourly bullish gap. Okay, the hourly on NQ would be here, that's the unfilled, so potentially we trade into that as well. Now what I like on price at the moment is that if ES puts in this short-term high, okay, so now we trade into the hourly bullish gap on NQ, would be that we have a bearish order block on the Nasdaq to inverse and shift higher. $1 million in funded. Good work, brother. That is very good to see. So the 5 would still be bullish, and the 15 is also bullish. So even though the 15 just inverse these gaps, it's going to be bullish out of this aspect here, and the hourly is also bullish. So nice bullish bias. Yes, price retraced the sell stops to take them out, but it didn't present us an opportunity for shorts. So in the lunch we see if we get a shift higher in market structure, and that's how we would, you know, approach price. So it'd be absolutely textbook with a bullish bias to see a shift. We have no invalidation high, which is in a close proximity. Okay, so definitely a potential to see a model here. Whether we see it or not, it's just down to probabilities, so we'd see if we get that. And then we can also look at the PM session as well. So that is obviously we're going to be looking at the PM as well. Five would be bearish in the shift. It's definitely a probability. That is correct. Which would actually take us back to a bearish bias. Yeah, so that's us to staying on top of intraday. So there will be different scenarios like that which we will monitor as well. So bias is something that we do pay attention to a lot on intraday. So I did just send a 240 kilometer hour wheelie down the road. It definitely was therapeutical. Let's put it that way. A clutch up was needed. Obviously, when you're going above about 80 kilometers an hour on a Z1000, you do have to clutch up, give it a bit of throttle. The wheel does come up though. I've been riding for a very long time, so I understand the traffic, I understand the bike very well. No, I've not had any problems with the liter bike, with the police. The police are really respectful to me because I know a lot of the police here from being pulled over when I was newer here many times, and I know what areas. There's 2 areas in Pattaya where it is obvious not to go, where the police do hang out, and they just give intentional tickets. No, I don't have a driver's license. I don't have a car license or a bike. Yeah. I used to pay them 1,000 baht. Yeah, so when you're on a liter bike, unless they stand in front of my bike, I don't stop. And if they do pull me over, it would be something around them lines there, about 1,000 baht. Yeah. But I do like the police here, they are very good. I do like them. Jones is getting a 750cc. Yeah, be careful, brother. Be careful. I do fear for people a lot on bikes, because I've been riding bikes for now a long time. Not as long as most people who are obviously above 30 years old, but I have, when it comes to experience with Thailand's traffic and being on a liter bike, I do ride a liter bike every single day for, say, at least 2 hours a day. So yeah, just be careful. That's my number one things. Like, I can't stress it enough. Liter bikes are the best fun, but it definitely does end a lot of people's lives. I've seen a lot of people die, and I've seen a lot of people lose their limbs. So I know the results of coming off a bike like that. Nope, we haven't taken any trades. So we've just put in this short-term high. I do like that, with a bullish bias to shift above this high. So that's what we'd be looking at as of now. It's a shame Bali is so expensive for bigger bikes. Then, yeah, but at the same time, you have to understand that I've not been to Bali. But it's not that I haven't been to Bali of what you shouldn't understand. It's that the roads, what I've seen in Bali, are not for a liter bike. So it's not a place that you want a liter bike. The amount of people that I've seen on social media crash in Bali is off the charts. I don't like Bali either. There is a lot of, I call them homeless people. They fly to Bali with no plan and say that they're changing their life, and 90% of them go back and they're broke. What bike do I have? I have a Z1000. I'll send you a photo in the chat. So Bitcoin, what happened to Bitcoin yesterday? As you guys are aware, we do post all of our crypto long-term plays in the Discord as well. So if you don't already know, there is a crypto section. I am in an active position, so it is marked as active. So Bitcoin yesterday dropped 5%, okay? And we are in a Bitcoin short, and I've been in a Bitcoin short since August of 2025. I went short at 118.5. I notified you guys inside of the group, because when the group opened, I notified you guys straight away, which was in October, and you guys caught the short from 115. Okay, so you was either there and you took the position, or you didn't. Okay, and we're currently at, our stops are at break even, and that's where they're lying. Price on the weekly traded into the weekly unfilled bearish gap paired with the breaker, and it's trading lower again. My TP is at 75.6. Okay, so as of this point, I'm floating up around $81,000 in profit on that position. So one thing I'm going to be doing with this Bitcoin position, just a little update for those of you that are wondering, I will be trailing my stops. Now, I'm going to be trailing my stops only when Bitcoin takes 80,635. Once Bitcoin takes 80.6, I will trail it to the previous swing high on the daily, which is likely, as of this point, going to be 97.9. So yeah, I will secure profits with trailing, but I do not expect it to return to that price. So as of now, I don't expect it to return to 118, hence I'm at break even. Does it return to 97 from now? Potentially. When it takes 80, when it takes 80.6, I do not expect it to return 97. That's when I would update you guys on that as well. So that's where we get updates. And from 80.6, that's when I do expect Bitcoin to accelerate towards 75. Okay. Milo, I've got 2 payouts on my single top step account, and now balance is currently 2.7, and I got 4 more accounts on TradeFi. Is it wise now to scale the top step for bigger payouts, or keep taking small ones? Okay, so my advice to that is that's a good question. Now, I would keep taking payouts from the top steps and make sure it's a minimum of 1k. Now, yes, you'll slowly might get ticked over to live, but it's going to make you more money in the short term, and losing 5 50k accounts is not a long-term disadvantage at all. So a long-term disadvantage was to be that you didn't scale up now and faster. So it would be that, you know, you do take at least 1k as soon as you get 1k available to withdraw, and it leaves you with at least a 2k drawdown as a balance above 0. Then you take that payout, you use that 1k as soon as it hits the Ys, and you reinvest and get more accounts, and keep cycling that. If they put you to live, that's fine, it's not a problem. That's what you do. That's correct. Yeah. Amal, that's correct. No, you can't, no. Milo, I have 8 funded at the moment. Just started 5, and 3 of them sit at 53.9. Should I only pay out 1k each, or 1.9, and buy more accounts? Okay, so if that's a funded balance of 53.9, I would take 1.9k. That's correct. I would take 1.9. So if you're up $3,900 on a funded account, immediately, if you're not fully scaled, I would be taking that 1.9 and putting that back into the business to get more accounts. Yep, it's all good, brother. So it is at a very probable point that we do see a shift in market structure. Now, this would be our shift. We are at a very probable point that we do see a shift. Okay. Number 1, 2, 3. That's pretty obvious. Okay. So you can mark that as IV. It is a bearish order block, so if we do shift and it's a valid shift, then it would be a model. As far as the bias, 5 is going to be bullish until IV, so that's fine. 15 is going to be bullish, and so is the hourly. Okay, so we have a very probable scenario that we do get a trade. That's a shift in structure on ES. So if we close above this high on NQ, that would be a valid long, considering we don't take IV. So if we form a gap here and close above the high, it would be a long off the gap, a stop placement at the low, which is a 25-point stop, and we're looking for a flat 2 to 1. So it'd be 6 micros. Okay, that's a shift. So let's see if we get an entry off the gap on NQ or ES. So no entry just yet. That's an entry. Stop placement at the low. So 220.50. So you can label the first high as TS. So when you're in a position, your only job as a trader is to manage risk. and you can mark that first short-term high as TS. Okay, that's basically it. Okay, so you should be out there. That was minus 1R. Okay. So now, at this point, we would be waiting for the PM session. The reason why people said W, Joe Bobby, is because we managed the trade correctly. We took the correct position, obviously, bias, etc. So it's about following the model correctly. That's all it is. Okay, so that essentially is our first losing trade in 7 positions, 7 positions. So currently this month we are up about 7.6R. Yeah, so as you guys know, we took that with 6 micros on standard and 12 on scaled, which for me personally, I got a $294 result overall. Some accounts sitting at 302, and then for scaled, I've got 604. Okay, so now we wait for the PM session. Okay, so I will speak to you guys for the PM. Hopefully this trade made sense. Same approach every single time. Potentially if you're newer to seeing our approaches, then as I've said, I always direct you to our privately recorded videos in this channel. It's over 100 plus of every single trade through 2025 is there. Alright, cool. So I'm going to end the live stream here, and then we are going to go live again at 1:30, 1:35-ish PM EST for the PM session. Okay, so I'll speak to you guys then. So the same of what we've marked on NQ, we're just going to mark that on ES. Now for the PM, there's not much point in marking the other points of buy side up here, even though I have it marked anyway, and that point of sell side. You can leave it there, it's fine. Now for the PM, we're going to be working in this scenario between lunch highs and lunch lows, and then we're going to be forming a model off that if it's correlated with the bias. Okay, so now we've got, you know, people starting to get into the stream. I wanted to discuss probabilities, and we've discussed this before. Now, people who've been in the group for a few months, and you know, a few years, in fact, if you've been with me for quite a while, is that of probabilities this year we shall experience, and I'm not saying it's happening now or whenever it's going to happen. It happens at its own probable base. We will experience. And it's a very high probability it does happen through the course of the year, 5 to 6 losing trades in a row. Okay, so that's what you can expect to experience. So it definitely happens, 5-6 losing trades in a row. And then you can also expect to experience the complete opposite and more. So obviously, where we've just experienced 6 winning trades in a row, it also plays vice versa. Okay, so this is what you need to look at with backtesting. So if you look at the results from last year, you can look at what was the max amount of losing trades we had in a row, our winning months, our losing months. Okay, so you can really look at the equity curve of a compounding risk on, say, a live account, and you can see how the equity curve grows through 25, grows through 24, grows through 23. Okay, and I don't have public data for 2022 because I didn't journal too much in 2022. It's my kind of first half of that, well, the second half of the 2022, that was when I closed my first part of significant profit in the market for futures. Oh shit, that's good. We needed that. Yeah, that's good. That's good, I can't lie. Oh yes. That's good. That's actually so much better. Okay, so let's take a look at our bias. Now we've ticked at 40. So the daily, it's still going to be bearish, obviously. So the daily is going to be bearish for a little while, at least until obviously tomorrow. If we look at the 4-hour time frame, that's going to be bearish. Now, did we trade into a bullish gap? Yes, we did. So it traded from bearish to bullish. So if we pull our bias, the daily is bearish and 4 hours bullish. We can look at the hourly time frame, which is very obviously going to be bullish. This whole part of this bearish gap is neutral on the hourly, so right now it's going to be bullish. So as far as the 15-minute time frame, it's actually currently bullish, trading out of the bullish gap towards the 15 swing high. Now, if you identify on the 15-minute time frame, we have an unfilled 15-minute gap that ES has actually traded into. The most recent trade-in is the unfilled imbalance on ES to cause the 15 to meet the draw and be bearish on the 15 on the Nasdaq. And then on the 5, we're trading out of this bullish gap, which is bullish. So the overall bias is bullish. Rob said, which is why risk appropriately. So that's why we have the risk management sheet, and we are risking a specific dollar amount, which is obviously 300. We have an account management section, a scaling plan, and everything you need to get to where you need to go. That's why we have it there. So these lunch highs, I'm just going to edit that. There you go. And also this one as well. Okay, so that stands for relative equal lunch highs, relative equal lunch lows. Both sides. So between this, we swept minor buy side. You can see we shifted structure on the Nasdaq. If you look at ES, there is no shift in structure on ES. Okay. So with that being said, we now want to see price to take lunch highs or lunch lows. Now it would be a very probable scenario and likely shift us potentially to a bearish bias from taking lunch highs to target lunch lows. We'll see if we get any opportunities in the PM. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, so that's where you can see that probable scenario of that 3.1% chance. During the year, I take an average amount of trades to give us that scenario where 1 or 2 times through the year we have 5 or 6 losing trades in a row. Okay, so we just took a 5-minute swing. So that is a sweep of minor sell side and sell stops off the low. Okay. Someone commented, first thing I noticed is Milo got a nice haircut. I did get a fresh trim today. I'm surprised that's what people noticed, to be honest. I stopped caring about the haircut, to be honest. So with a bearish bias, taking lunch highs and then looking for shorts would be an extremely probable scenario that we'd look for, okay? So we have questions with people asking, let's say, about bias. When I determined bias a few minutes ago, if you wasn't there for that, then you've missed it, okay? It's like missing a trade. So how long did it take you to reach 1 million in funding? How long did it take me when I was first starting off with ICT, or how long would it take me now? Because I could achieve 1 million in funding in 2 days, guaranteed. More, I could achieve more than that, 2 days. When starting off, well, I don't really have a specific timeline. I wouldn't say I timed it, but if I was to give an outlook to someone, let's say, starting off, you should be able to achieve 20, 50k accounts. It really depends on your scenario that you're in. How much money do you have to put forward to get accounts? Okay, it really does depend on the position. But if you're asking for me personally, I know it sounds like a long-winded answer, but obviously at the end of the day it's advice and guidance, isn't it? Otherwise people wouldn't ask that type of question. I don't actually know, to be honest. I don't actually know. So, you know, I can't remember. It's quite a long time ago. We're talking, you know, mid-2022. So, maybe 6 months. I wasn't really have the knowledge to scaling as fast back then. Okay, so I was getting my feet together. I started trading ICT in 2021. So I wouldn't say that I had the knowledge to scale as fast as I did now. Of the knowledge that I've handed to you guys, it's all years of experience, you know. How was your discipline at the beginning? Well, it wasn't great. It wasn't great, to say the least. What was the payout goal before moving out? Well, I received my first payout, which was 10k, and I was still working the job after that, and then I said once I received my second payout, I would leave the country. You know, but you guys have heard that story before. It was on the second payout that I left, but that was before I had social media. So I ran a whole year outside of the UK. Through, you know, 2023, I ran the whole year. I ran half of it by myself over in Thailand. I was by myself, and then that's when I posted my first video after a year. I had 50k top step accounts at the time of the second payout, and then after that I then scaled with the 300k Apex accounts when I was in Thailand. I was running those accounts for quite a while. I was very fixated on Top Step and Apex for a long period of time because there wasn't that many genuine prop firms back then. Yeah, it's best to keep the topics trading related. Okay, so is the 5 minute being bearish? The 5 would be neutral at the moment. And the hourly is going to be neutral. Four hours is going to remain the same, so that's our bias. That is our current bias, which is bearish. So this would be a very clean model in the PM to look for shorts. Yeah, I don't really talk too much about my personal life, to be honest. It's not really something that is need to be talked about on here. This is for education, you know. Education and making money. Okay. If you want to see the month-to-month results, take a look at the P&L year-to-year P&L channel in the Discord. You can see that we closed October up 8R. I closed August up 14R. I closed November down 4R. I closed December up 3R. And currently up 7.6R in January. And we have 11.3 months left of the year. Cryptic is a Fed, or is he not a Fed? He said he would have arrested me already, mate. So we look at the Nasdaq putting in a short-term low here. We're trading out of a bullish order block, and then we look for a shift lower. So very nice sweep of relative equal lunch highs, a draw for lunch lows, and that's what we'll be working off. So Mines has been trading for 4 months, and he joined around December time. So he secured some profit from December, likely got funded towards the end of December, and secured some of January so far. One thing to remember as well, guys, I want you to understand this. So looking at the Nasdaq now, this is not what I was going to say, but the Nasdaq shifted structure, okay? But look at ES. ES has not shifted structure, so pay attention to that. There's no shift on ES. We need to form a short-term low. So what this is one thing I want to get across to you guys here, is that your first payout on a 50k funded account or any funded account requires a bigger return to get the first payout than second, third, fourth, fifth. Okay, so it's like making your first 100k USD cash. Everyone knows it's harder to make 100k than a mil, of course. Now, why does it take more time and more P&L to reach that? Well, you have to hit not just $2,000 of profit, because after $2,000 of profit on a 50k, you'll break even. Does that make sense? That's what most people don't see. So you make 2,000 on a 50k, you'll break even because it trails to zero. Okay. After that, once you work to a 3k balance, then for every 1k you make and fall back, 1k make. That's 2.5 to 3R profit. So for every 2.5, and even on slow months, you're going to be taking a payout. You see how fast that is? So once you reach a 3k balance and you take 1k back to 2, back to 3, 1k back to 2, back to 3, and you do that as many times until you're fully scaled and you have a decent live account. Now after that, okay, you're then going to look at scaling, and you'll look at the scaling plan, okay? So your first payout requires around a 10R, okay? And January so far has produced a 7.6. So if you did have an account, say at the start of January, which was pretty fresh, it's going to be sitting not too far away from a payout, but not quite just there yet. I would assume that you're probably set around, 51.5, somewhere around there. So we'd look for price to seek buy stops and then see a shift lower in structure. Okay, that's what we'd look for. When you say pull out, I only think of one thing. When you say pull out, you mean payout. So I take a payout whenever my accounts are ready and they're at a point where I'm satisfied. I'm good at taking payouts and pulling out. I mean, I don't really know what you was intending there. So if the Nasdaq or ES shifts here, what are we going to see? So right now, if we mark this on the Nasdaq, this was a bullish order block. And then if we click settings, style, turn that off, like that, bring it back to what it was. So that's a bullish order block that got inverse straight away. So it's currently a respected mitigation block as of now. This candle here, let's say it shifted below this low and formed a gap. That's fine, but that is the only mitigation block that could be paired with a gap. Otherwise, we would need price to form another bullish order block. Okay. If price obviously closes above the mitigation and disrespects the bearish PDRA, then we could not use that if it shifted in the near future. So you can see this is where I'm paying attention to now. Now that is, this right here is fucking textbook. As far as bias, I would have to take a look at it. But this is a breaker block if inversed. It's currently obviously a order block. A shift and SMT on ES. Relative equal lunch lows, New York PM. So if the Nasdaq was to shift at this point, it would be classed as just a one of those Picasso paintings. Obviously the 4 hours still going to be bullish. The 1 hour's neutral. 15 is bearish. And you can see the 5 actually ticked bullish and ticked neutral from buy stops. So we would remain with the same bias, which is going to be bearish, and we'd look for a shift lower in structure. A shift below this low is going to give us an objective of lunch lows, but also that point of sell side here. So we're going to be looking at this area for price. And then a shift on ES would be below this low, which is a bullish order block. So pretty obvious, this would also be our IV level for price. Okay, so it's also going to be the IV. First, second, and then third low. It's obviously a prominent point of sell side. Bullish order block with now closed below. So this is a breaker block. If we form a gap here, we just close the balcony. If we form a gap here, that's going to be a valid short inside of the PM session. Okay. Okay, so as far as the bias, as of now, you can see that the bias is now shifted to being neutral. Okay. So there wouldn't be a trade here. As clean as that looks, that is not actually a valid trade. So we've got a bullish 5. Obviously a bearish 15, a neutral hourly, a bullish 4 hour, and a bearish daily. So this is not a valid short to take. Okay. I don't know why people keep mentioning his name. I never mention his name. I never mention other people's names. Tarek said, wait, did I miss something? What's wrong with... I'm not going to say the name, but I don't actually know. Is he okay? I don't speak to anyone. People say I've seen him there too. What, has something happened? So of what we can see here is that someone said the 4 hour would be bearish. Well, you can see the most recent trade-in, if we look at the lowest point from this 4 hour, okay, let's have a look. We're looking at 142. So if you go onto the 4 hour, you're going to see at 142 we trade into the bullish 4 hour gap. So we was bearish and then we traded down into the bullish gap. So Dylan said he's confused about the 4 hour. So the entry to the 4 hour being bearish, we're talking 419. So this is levels from 11 AM, 11:30. We trade lower into the bullish gap, we trade up, and the 4 hour doesn't change. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Oh, now we got people giving me advice on Instagram, like they make more money than me. I do like uploading these videos. So, you know, the 5's bullish, the 4 hours bullish, the 15 is, as you can see, bearish, the daily's bearish. Still neutral bias, nothing's changed. The 5 minute didn't inverse on the closure, it doesn't give us any sort of inverse, nothing like along those lines there. Yes, ES inverse the 5, it doesn't change our bias. Okay. Has anyone seen Ash Hazard? Ash. Because I had a text to him on WhatsApp at 7 PM. But he's not seen it. Now the only reason why I say it is because he's very new on a bike and he only just crashed He crashed it literally about 2 days ago. Now, I already told him, I said, look, imagine I get a metal hammer and smash it into your knee. So I did give him the perspective of what it's like to come off a bike. Because I'm sick of people getting on bikes, and I didn't want to be the culprit to people coming off bikes. I can't express it enough, right? So I thought maybe he had crashed again, and this time maybe died. So I was, that's what always goes through my head, you know what I mean? I've seen enough on these bikes. Yeah, maybe it's good. Alright, cool. So it's been great speaking with you guys. That is the end of the PM session. Very good having you guys in the stream today. Hopefully you enjoyed the guidance and working through, positions that we did take today. Obviously we're going to be live tomorrow again at the London session, 2:20 AM EST. I'll see you guys there. Have a great rest of your evening.